You know, I want to just talk about something, right? So I bumped into Super Journos. Is it Behind the Boot show, right? And he's interviewing Dane Clayton and talking about Dane Clayton coaching career, how things are going coaching wise. He touched on his successes and so on and so forth, right? So as you watched yesterday, I don't know if everyone watched, and this one is about to see that Spurs is about to get relegated, right? When I'm watching the game, and then the graphic pops up in the corner of where the table is, where the current standings are in the league, and while that's happening, I'm thinking to myself, I thought Spurs was 3 points away, right? From six, it's who goes down 17, 18, 19. I thought they were 3 points away from was West Ham that was 17th, right? Come to find out they are 1 point away. I'm just like, wait, what? With the game in hand that time, right? So obviously, as we know, they lost yesterday 3-1. They got smacked sharp, right? And we all expect, well, the odds are increasing for Spurs to be relegated, which would be insane. With that naturally comes a thing of, okay, what happened to Spurs that they're at this point, right? A Spurs that was, oh, these are Champions League finalists, bro. Champions League finalists. They were close to winning the league at some point. They had quite the squad. Your Dele Allis, your Toby Alderweireld, Jan Vertonghen, Hugo Lloris, Kyle Walker, Harry Kane, Son. I don't know if I mentioned Dele Alli as well. Ericsson. They had quite the squad. Then Pochettino that just came from Southampton. You're like, yo, they're on the up and up, and from that, their popularity grew. Everything just get a new stadium, crazy stadium, arguably the best stadium in the some say in Europe. Cool, sharp. So you go from this upward trajectory to now you are in a relegation scrap. You're a team that is touted to be in the top six. When you talk about the top six, people always involved, and rightfully so, Spurs in the top six. Sharp. So you go from that to where you are now. And I'm just like, what the hell? So now I bump into this interview, right? With Mazola and Dinklet, right? And they say something, and honestly, I wished for more.
Those guys have kind of had a bit of time, but then the lower tier clubs like the idea of trying to emulate that, but seemingly don't have the patience.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. The lower clubs, not lower clubs, I would say probably the clubs that's not in the top 5.
Yeah.
I would say
Mid-table.
yeah, mid-table, always fighting
Spurs.
relegation, always. I think there's a lack of understanding how success works in football. I actually know, unfortunately or fortunately, I know how come I won 6 league titles and cup finals, etc., etc. I know what is needed and what type of mentality is needed from leadership because I've experienced it. Now, when you come into an environment and you see, but the way things are done here is actually not how success works.
So now they don't go on to Mazola doesn't go on to actually ask. When you say you know what success looks like and how to achieve it, when you talk about mentality, when you talk about these things, what do you mean, right? I would have hoped that Mazola would have asked that. But it got me thinking that we say when we speak about mentality, there's a lack of winning mentality. There's a lack of desire. There's a lack of just not knowing how to win. These things are quite soft. They are intangible things to me. And I'm like, what the hell is missing? What does this actually mean? I would have loved to understand from a winner, he's got, Dentley's got like 16 trophies. Crazy business. Double, triple, if I'm not mistaken. Crazy. Right, with Pirates. So, it makes me wonder, when we talk about the right mentality, what does it look like in practice? Right? And you'll think of Spurs right now. When we say, people attribute where Spurs is, Conte has spoken about it, Pastor Cogley has spoken about it, that their motto is it today's to do, but they're not doing or daring. So what exactly is going on there, right? So in a practical sense, when we speak on a winning mentality, what they should do, my mind goes to the first thing is transfers, right? Gareth Bale got on a podcast with Ian Wright, Roy Keane, and Gary Neville. I forgot what it's called, right? And he speaks about the lack of investment of players at Spurs, right? That Spurs is not willing to, and hasn't shown the will to take that money and literally go outbid somebody and pay the wages they asked for. Because a £40 million player in 2026 is not the same thing as a £40 million player in 2016, right? Wages are astronomical now. He even mentions that, like himself, what Spurs used to do was get the younger guys and watch them move up in the world, right? And hopefully that they can be that talent that takes them to the next level. And that hasn't been the case. I'm thinking to myself, like right now, Archie Gray looks quite the talent. They bought Jet Spence. You just go, Jet Spence. Right? They even let go of Brennan Johnson right now. And you thought Brennan Johnson could be that young one. So these young players saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to skip out on doling out 80, 90, 100 on players, right? And get younger ones and hopefully you can progress forward. That doesn't work, seemingly. Doesn't seem to work. Right? But even if, I also think to myself, even if Spurs was going to spend 200 bar, right? 200, who would want to go to Spurs? Is it an attractive destination for anybody, right? Is it? Is that something to consider? And we can say today's to do, right? That these guys have not did and have not done. And this is just murmurings from managers, like I said previously, that these people don't actually want to win. They don't actually want to win, right? We talk about investment, and Spurs, in order to keep up, to be that guy, they invested heavily into their stadium. Huge stadium. Incredible stadium. Right? Isn't that daring? Isn't that doing? But I think that's daring and doing from a fiscal standpoint, right? From a brand standpoint, right? But from a fan's perspective, the fans, we just want to see players that we can get behind, players that are talented, that will come on the pitch and perform, because at the end of the day, that is the most important thing. The players coming through and performing. Because at the end of the day, all in all, everything said, what is important is ensuring that your lifeblood, what keeps you successful, what keeps you competitive, what keeps you in the league is the performance on the pitch. And the people that must perform on the pitch must be the best in their category, must be the best that there is out there, as best as possible, so you can compete and challenge for titles. Has Spurs done that? Seemingly no. I look at their squad now. Granted, they've got a bunch of injuries. Granted, bro. Losing Kulusevski, Madison, Kudus, crazy. I mean, even buying a Kudus is a big one, right? Big one. So it's a thing of success, right? When we talk about success, what that practically looks like, when you talk about winning mentality, what that practically looks like, it's sitting from where I am, being a fan, it comes from a place of, hey bro, club, here's a talented player, go buy him. Go pay the wages he needs to be paid. Period. So you can compete. Because out there, teams are paying astronomical amounts. We, as a small fan, we just signed Saka, re-signed him in a contract for 300,000, if I'm not mistaken, a week. You have to pay these fees. You have to pay the wages. And that is daring and doing. So will they learn from this? I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? But you know, that mentality of success is, from a practical sense, plain and simple. Money. Bring that money in and get the players necessary so that they can perform, so that you as a club can then compete. Because at the end of the day, like I said again, the only thing that matters there is the most important thing, the core of it, is players getting on the pitch, being organized by a top level coach, and they get results. End of the day. Nothing more, nothing less.